Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about estate planning. And specifically, there's an article here. I'll put a link to it in the description for the video. And it's Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey shares his take on estate planning and he doesn't sugarcoat it. Now, as I've said in other videos, I'm not here to make political statements. I don't care if you like Dave or you don't like Dave. It is really irrelevant to me. The point is, this is an article about estate planning. And what we're talking about here is having some game plan, some plan of action in place so that when you pass and, what do they say, death and taxes, those are the things that you can definitely count on. At some point, we all pass. I lost my dad 9 years ago. Mum is, in her 80s. At some point, she's going to go, I'll go. I mean, that's just life, right? But we want to make sure that we plan for those things. And it's especially important if you have a family member who has been dealing with a behavioral health issue. We want to make sure that if there are assets, there are resources available to take care of them when the parents leave. We don't want to be in a position where, those assets are unprotected and maybe creditors can attack them, or, we're dealing with a situation where there was no estate planning and now, you have to follow the probate code in your particular state. And what that means is, now the state's in your business. We don't want that. So some of the things that Dave highlights in here, it says most families spend decades trying to build some financial stability, but estate planning often gets pushed to the bottom of the list. It feels uncomfortable, or people assume that there's still plenty of time. God, that is so important. My dad, towards the end of his life had been sick, but he suddenly went when he fell in the middle of the night. So you just don't know when your time's up, right? I mean, I have my old college roommate is my cardiologist, and he said to me something that I haven't forgotten. He said, a heart only has so many beats in it. The problem is we don't know how many beats that is. And, you're here today and then you're not. So Dave Ramsey recently reminded followers that avoiding the topic doesn't spare your family stress. It often guarantees more confusion, more hurt feelings, and sometimes real legal battles when loved ones are already grieving. His argument is simple. When families are left guessing after someone passes, suspicion creeps in. People wonder whether someone influenced decisions or mishandled assets. Ramsey's advice is to remove the mystery now so your family isn't left questioning each other. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to have an estate plan, right? And you need to share it with your family. Why? Well, first of all, if you pass, when you pass, I should say, but if you pass unexpectedly and there's documentation that says this is how I want my, assets, my resources divided, they need to know, where do you go and find it? I mean, one of the things that we dealt with my dad, because he passed so unexpectedly, was there an insurance plan? So, I mean, we had to go looking for documents and find the documents, right? And, towards the end of my dad's life, he was not as organized as he had been. There were papers everywhere. And, beside obviously the shock of dealing with his passing, it felt so uncomfortable to be rummaging through his papers. It really was. It was a horrible, it's just not a good feeling, but it needed to be done. My mom was still around. Those things had to be addressed. But if you do some estate planning and you say to your spouse or your children, in the event I pass unexpectedly, here's the documents, so you can go and find them so that you understand what I had intended for when I do pass. So I think that if you've not done any estate planning and you want to have a conversation with us, we can do estate planning. If you're a family out there who has a loved one who's dealing with a behavioral health issue, even if they're in recovery, we should have this conversation, because you don't know when things can go south, right? And we want to make sure that we're prepared so the state doesn't stick its beak in your family business, because that's what happens, right? I mean, I've talked about in the past, the state can get involved in your life through the criminal system, through the mental health system. And this is another way the state gets involved, right? We don't want to have a court proceeding over this. So I'll put a link to the article in the description for the video. If you'd like to talk to us about this, we'd love to have that conversation with you. If you have any questions or comments, or you agree or you disagree with me, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say, as long as we're all respectful to each other. That's good. I appreciate the interaction with you, and I do read your comments, even the ones where they're not so pleasant towards me. It's okay. We're good. And if you have an issue that you're dealing with in your family that you've not seen a video, about, let me know. I'll make a video for you so that you can get the information. And there may be another family out there who's also dealing with this issue that I've not addressed. Let's get everybody the information they need. So if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want more of this content, which I put out every day for you, so you can get the information that you need, and you don't have to call my office to get it, and you don't have to pay a lawyer to get it, and I tell you how it is in the real world, not what ChatGPT or Google says, or maybe even another lawyer out there who does one of a dozen different things, right? We do only one thing, and I'm happy to share my insight with you. I want you to get this information. So if you want this information and you want more of it, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.